5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi there. This is the first video that I'm creating, and why am I creating this video? Well, recently a colleague of mine asked me what my dream job was, and without really thinking about it, I said traveling the world, telling stories, and getting paid for it. And really not as a job, but more as a purpose, right? Like what should I be doing with myself? And it reminded me of a Venn diagram that I saw once that showed what you're good at, what you love to do, what the world needs, and what you can earn income at. And I recently Googled that to find out, where'd that diagram come from. And in the Japanese culture, there's something called ikigai. And ikigai is exactly that, right? What are you good at? What do you love to do? What does the world need? And extra bonus, what can you earn income at? And so, if I think of what am I good at, I think I'm good at telling stories, right? I've been involved in training for years. And if you think about it, training is really telling a story, right? What you're trying to do is convey to people some sort of story. Now, whether that story is leadership skills and how to effectively deliver one-on-one sessions with your employees, or if it's something else where you're trying to teach people how to do something, in the end, you're essentially telling a story, right? This is where it begins, this is sort of the middle, this is the end. I love to tell stories, I love to do training. What the world needs. So as far as what the world needs, does the world need another guy doing YouTube videos? It depends, right? It depends on the topics, and that's what I'm trying to understand. That's what I'm trying to find out. What is that sort of niche, or what experience, what skill, what stories do I have inside of me that are worth sharing that people would be interested in? And the third part, income. So not only would they be interested in, but they would be willing to pay for. So when my colleague had asked me about that job, I said to him, if I could get $5 per story from 1 million people, that's 5 million people. That's easier than getting $5 million from one person. And we happened to be at dinner that night with the rest of our team, and he brought that up. He said, hey, you know what Arthur would rather be doing? Not a great segue, but anyway, you know what Arthur would rather be doing? He'd rather be traveling the world telling stories for $5 a piece. And as the night went on, I happened to tell a few stories during dinner, and one person pulled out a $5 bill and handed it to me and said, hey, that story was worth $5. But anyway, so Japanese culture, it's called ikigai, and it's said to help one live longer, right? Because you've defined your purpose. And that reminded me of a documentary I recently watched. It was called Blue Zones. And in Blue Zones, the host of the documentary basically visits these areas in the world where there's a high concentration of centenarians, right? So people who live past 100 years old. And one thing that now, within these regions, they tended to have, some decent weather. The folks ate good food. They typically were in pretty good shape. But one thing they all had in common was a purpose, that they didn't sort of retire, right? If you think of sort of the American, I don't know what age it is because I'm not there yet, that you retire and then what do you do, right? What's your purpose? And I know people who have retired who are now saying, you know what, I'm going back to work. I have no purpose. I have nothing to do. So I'm really at a point in my life where I need to find my purpose. I'm trying to find my purpose. And it needs to be more than, putting in 40 hours a week and getting a paycheck, right? I mean, I feel like that's sort of the treadmill that we're on in the United States culture, at least. So this video is my first video. I'm embarking on an adventure to see if sharing stories is indeed my purpose. Is that my ikigai? So, thank you for joining me for this first video. Many more to come. Peace.